Hello, I'm Marilyn Hemingway, and welcome to A Gathering Place. I said, I'm stepping back because we have young voices who want to be heard and they're moving on something.
Branding is really important to you and your business.
Even a basic type of technology, you learn it all.
And people are
Good question. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to A Gathering Place. Thanks for joining us today. This, of course, is hosted by the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce. My name is Marilyn Hemingway. I am host of A Gathering Place, and today's topic actually kicks off our African American Mayors series. We're going to be featuring once a month an African American mayor within the Gullah Geechee corridor so we can learn more about their town or city and what they're doing, the history of the town, and what's happening now, why they ran for office. So I'm very excited to bring on our first guest, and he is Mayor Frank McClary of Andrews, South Carolina. Mayor, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Marilyn? It's good to see you again.
It's always good to see you. It's been a minute. You know, COVID's been keeping us away from each other, but we might have seen each other once or twice waving.
Yeah.
With the mask on and
I've seen them.
practicing 20 feet.
Absolutely.
Social distancing.
I'm following your work out there, though. It didn't stop you from working.
Yeah, that's right. Same with you. And that's why we brought you on, because of the work I'm doing, the work you're doing. And thank you for kicking off our African American Mayors series. It's a good thing. And the reason I did this is I wanted to profile Black mayors who are out here doing the work and to learn more about the towns and cities that are led by Black leadership and really, especially in rural areas, what's happening and the impact of the decision makers. And thank you for coming on and kicking this off for me. So the first thing I want to do, for those of you who don't know where Andrews, South Carolina is, I get really basic here, obviously. One, it's in Georgetown County. So let me pull that up here. This is the overall map. Little star is Andrews. There's the state. Yeah. Not too far from the ocean. How many miles from the ocean?
About 54 miles from Myrtle Beach.
Well, that's not the ocean. That's
the ocean, but
that's amusement park.
It's an amusement park, but you get to the water. That's all we're concerned about.
Yeah, I'm talking about the water. I said, what, about 20 miles from water from the ocean?
Yes,
Give or take, yeah. And then let me drill in a little bit more. So Andrews, there we are drilling in a little bit more. If you watch this map, look at this map, there's a lot of water around Andrews. Then Georgetown has a lot of water also. But what's the major river there?
That's a Black River.
The Black River. And I think Black River is a beautiful river too. Absolutely. But I just wanted to give folks an idea of where Andrews is located geographically. Highway 41 is a major highway through there. And what's another one?
521.
521. And in Georgetown, Highway 41 is known as County Line Road because Andrews is where?
Andrews actually splits. It's both in Georgetown and Williamsburg County. So we have residents on both sides, but primarily in the Georgetown County. And to your point, the uniqueness of where we are, I call it the center of the universe. Some may argue that, but we're actually right here on, as you stated, on 521 and 41, which is about 1 hour from Charleston, an hour from Myrtle Beach, and an hour from the I-95. So we're kind of right here on these major intersections.
And you and I have talked about where Andrews is located before, and we've used the words gateway. So yes. Those things that you mentioned from Myrtle Beach, Georgetown, Charleston, is you're sitting in kind of a sweet spot where you're the gateway to a lot of stuff. And so that kind of segues me into, let me see if I put that up there. Yes, the chart.
Okay.
See how I did that? All right.
So, magic.
I'm gonna put this chart here, and I'm gonna let the mayor explain this chart, and then we're gonna have a conversation today about Andrews' history and what's happening with Andrews now, and some unique areas around Andrews. But let's go ahead and put this chart up, Mayor, and if you can explain it to us, what does this chart show?
Okay, really the intent behind this is to capture, again, as we were just talking about, capture the uniqueness of Andrews and its geographical location as it relates to some of the major cities around close by the Andrews itself. And so then you see that I'll start from the bottom up. It kind of captures those things. We're again located, in the middle of, I think, everything. A lot of traffic and tourists come through here to go to Myrtle Beach, and then obviously down to Charleston. It's a friendly town. In fact, that's the nickname of the town. It's the friendly town, a friendly place. A lot of relaxation you can, achieve here, adventure. And you see the things down at the bottom there, as we talked about, some of the best barbecue. Now, we're only about 25 miles from Scotch Barbecue, but you'll find some of the best barbecue here in Andrews as well. A couple of really nice seafood places here that people come from, miles around to eat at Fats or Jamie's and get those that seafood there. Fishing and boating, we talked a little bit about Black River. That's actually only about maybe less than 2 miles outside of the city limits. And we'll talk a little bit more about this unique project that's ongoing along the Black River, which is the Black River Cypress Preserve. And that's going to do great for our little town and the surrounding area. It's about a 70-mile stretch of river miles, if you will, and a lot of great things going to happen. So it's a private and state venture to develop that park. And again, we can talk a little bit more about that.
Definitely.
Yes, and so the skydiving school, we have one of 2 skydiving schools in South Carolina. That's right here, again, about a mile outside of the town limits. And we talked about the beaches, and then that last one there is the Black River Cypress Preserve. And again, we try to capture that in this little cool chart that we have here that kind of gives you a picture of what I just talked about. And we really believe that we're a gateway. So we're right now in still recovering. Again, we lost one of our major employers, the Oneida Knitting Mill, years ago, and we're still recovering from that. But we'll talk about some of the economic growth that really kind of now replacing what Oneida provided for the city or for the town years ago.
Yeah, very good. So let's start, because you kind of touched on it a little bit. Give us the history of Andrews. What is it known for? I'm not going to do too much of a deep dive and put you on the spot, but you wouldn't happen to know, like, what year was it founded? But give us some kind of the history to give us some context with this conversation.
Well, I better know that. I was born and raised here in this little special town, but it was chartered in 1909. And really the town, it started to build in 1915. And it was built around the railroad by Mayor Andrews, who again was an employee here as a part of that railroad system. And he was the mayor from that time frame up to the early 1920s. So that's where the name of the town came from. Andrews.
I was going to ask you, you taught me something new. I didn't know that.
Yes. And
all right, so very good.
And Andrews is at the beginning or far end of the Seaboard Railroad, which ran, from Andrews all the way to Saltus, 20 miles away, and allegedly is the longest, straightest road in South Carolina. And so that runs from Andrews rail all the way out to Saltus, and you can see still parts of that rail system in spots where the road is kind of worn. So it's a rich history, and again, when I came up, it was a booming town, a lot of, stores. We didn't have to do a lot of traveling to get the things that we need to survive, entertainment, all that stuff right here. We're not quite there right now, but we've and again, we'll talk a little bit about some of the things we're doing to recover and to move Andrews closer to the 21st century. That's a little town.
It's a quaint little town. It really is. Andrews has a lot of character. The railroads, that was the thing that, you knew where the railroad was. You crossed it. If you left Georgetown and went right into Andrews, you had to cross that railroad, and you had to know about that. Another thing, you guys are very proud of your heritage, and you actually started a heritage festival, I guess to celebrate your heritage and everything. But tell us a little bit about the festival. Is it still happening, and when did that start, and what does it do for the community?
Yeah, but okay. Well, well, Andrews was really known for the good old days. That was his festival back in the day. Again, Chubby Checker, who's known to be from Andrews, but actually a little further out in Spring Gully, but well known here in town. So he was a big part of that, and that should bring a lot of entertainment and activities for the town years and years ago. At some point, that kind of died off, and in the I think 2015, the Andrews Heritage Festival was born, and it started out real slow, and I would say we probably had a couple hundred people that show up. Now, as of 2018, just before the pandemic, 19, it got up to almost 3,500 people, and so we incorporated, food trucks, entertainment over a 2-day period, and this thing has become pretty big, and really kind of outgrown the location where we've been having it. So we're currently right now looking for another spot for it in town on Main Street. We did not have the festival or any community activities this past year because of COVID. Again, trying to minimize the contact and keep people socially distant. So of course, the government at all levels in place a lot of restrictions, and so that hurt our community activities.
So, but after hopefully we get through COVID, everybody gets through safely. You do plan on starting the Heritage Festival back up again?
Absolutely. We've had some small conversation here with the staff. We are going to go back to that. We'll obviously still, the pandemic will still be around, but we by this time you will figure out how to come together and stay apart at the same time and get these community activities back up. So as we go into this budget cycle, which actually started today, we will now begin to put some funds aside to source those events. And I'll tell you that's one of the big ones, but through the efforts of some of our business owners and some of our local folks, our Halloween event is huge. That brings out over 800 some odd people, close to 1,000. It's actually a block party, and that's headed up by Miss Chastity Cooper, who came up with the idea. So the town kind of got in there, but the share of the work, it really is on her and other citizens that pull this together. The Christmas parade used to be about 30 minutes. Now it's a 2-hour event, so that has grown. And again, that turns into another festival. So it's things like that again, and events that bring the community together. And it's real important. And it's going to be especially important now that we've been separated to bring folks back together, but again, do it smartly and safely.
So I want to talk about two things before we go on, because you slid a name in there quietly, and I don't know if people really picked up on it. But I'll bring his picture up. Chubby Checker is from Andrews, but he's also a family member of the mayor.
He is.
All right, yeah. So let's go ahead and put that out there, because we're gonna claim that fame, that piece of fame. So yeah, Chubby Checkers. For you young folks who don't know who Chubby Checkers is, he came up with the twist.
A little twist, exactly.
Twist and shout, and known for that. And he is right there right outside of Andrews, Spring Gully. Is that what you said? Spring Gully?
Yeah, the Spring Gully area.
Yeah. So Chubby Checkers is a famous person from Andrews, and we actually have another famous person whose picture I didn't pull up yet. But Chris Rock was born in Andrews, South Carolina. So that's a little bit younger and closer to the young folks' age. So hopefully they'll know who Chris Rock is. But Chris Rock is from Andrews also. So Andrews, that's the claim to fame for Andrews. It's Chubby Checkers, Chris Rock. Anybody else we need to know other than you, Mayor?
No, I'm not the famous one, not at all. No, we've had some folks that has gone on and done great things for the town. In fact, I hear from them. They call me and, again, recognize things or either make recommendations. So we got folks out there doing great things. I want them to come back and invest back in the town is what I want them to do.
All right, very good. So I just wanted to mention those two things because everybody has some claim to fame, and we want to make sure that folks know those folks are connected to Andrews. And we have a comment here. I love the way our hometown is growing and the direction you and your council members are leading us in. And I agree with that. I mean, if people saw Andrews years ago, it has come a long way, and we both know it has a long way to go also. But if you knew Andrews just a few years ago, it really has, you can see the difference. And then what's in the further plans for the youth of the town of Andrews? I remember past times where there's some but few. So what things for youth? What's going on in the town that the youth can get involved with?
But when a couple of years ago, we didn't have a whole lot, and that of course is with 4 schools here in town, and so we have tons of kids around it, and for them to not have any social activity makes it very tough for them. But then through the county recreation program, we now have a very there you go.
Yeah, beautiful rec building.
Beautiful rec building that opened, I think, a little over a year ago. But again, when it opened, we had to shut it down because of COVID. But it's starting to get some use now, limited in terms of the number of people who can get in there. But it's a beautiful facility. We also have a state-of-the-art baseball field that is here. Again, another part of the county recreation department. And so what we're
I
looking
didn't
for,
catch that one. The baseball field. Maybe I
yeah.
heard about it and forgot about it. So this is brand new baseball fields.
Well, I didn't say it's several years old, but it's in mint condition. And we, from the little kids on up that are playing baseball out there now, we're challenged by the travel ball to keep some of our best ball players here. But you can come out, you can see there's literally hundreds of kids out there playing ball. It's a great time. And again, that's
Wow.
been impacted. That's starting to pick up again. People coming out to get back, because it's important for our kids to get outside and have some activity. And so that is great. And so we're looking now and we also now have a skating rink. That was a part of our development, skating rink here that is again has given the kids an opportunity to get out and socialize and have a great time. That's Mr. McKenzie that put that together. And we're looking forward for that to come open again, and so the kids can get in there and have a great time. But again, we're looking for something in the nature of a fun warehouse where we can have those things that kids can get in and safely do, because traveling all the way to Myrtle Beach, it's not necessary.
That's right. That's right. We can stay home if we have the amenities, if we have things that we can do. And someone does have a quick question. What are some events that are coming up in Andrews? We kind of talked about this a little bit because it's been impacted by COVID, but anything that we need to know about in particular, anything coming up?
So we always, and again, shout out to all.
Or by video, is it a virtual event?
Right. So we have, now our churches are key to our community, and so they host a lot of the events. And so I think the one that's coming up here in the near future is we have a big Easter egg hunt that is led by Church of God, those folks. And so we're talking with Pastor Lambert right now. I think there's an event coming up again. We won't be back full blown like we were before, but that will probably be the first event that kicks off a community type activity. And so we're along those lines. And then 4th of July, typically, then that's the Spirit-filled Dr. Rouse, who puts on this big, fire display and all kinds of great stuff that happens during that time. So again, we have a great mix of our churches and the town events. So any of your major holidays, you can expect something to be going on. And then we pick up in September with the Heritage Festival, and then followed by the block party for the Halloween, Veterans Day parade, which is a big deal now, and then the big Christmas parade. So those things happen. And at any time, you can come to Andrews, when things were normal, and you'll see outdoor activity going on. Main Street,
true.
Lit up.
I was just thinking about that because I remember on Friday night how traffic is picked up and families are just walking up and down Main Street enjoying. There's folks, I think they were doing barbecue from the trailer, and of course you could go to Super Chick, my favorite chicken place, and
best chicken in the world.
It is, y'all. I'm serious. This is real chicken. This is real good chicken. And is it Antonio's? Is the other one?
Yes, an
Yeah, yeah, and
Italian restaurant.
you notice the difference. And Andrews has such a nice. As a matter of fact, I have a picture of it. We're gonna talk about the business since
Yes,
we're
yes,
talking all that.
yes,
But
yes.
here's Main Street. But you guys have really done a good job of like Christmas time decorating. Definitely the holidays, fall. You really are really investing in your Main Street. Beautiful. You can see the character of the buildings.
Yeah, and I'll tell
It's
you
just
this
a
is
cute, quaint little town. I really want you guys. You and I talk about stuff all the time. Y'all don't know. Me and the mayor brainstorm and stuff and all. And Andrews really could be a weekend getaway.
yeah.
It's not just a gateway to the beaches, but the beaches can come to Andrews just to have something different, a romantic weekend or just a weekend getaway, and enjoy a nice, quaint, small town atmosphere. And you do have enough going on in Andrews once we get back from COVID,
Yes.
um, to have a nice little weekend getaway.
Now we don't want to make it one of those really, really busy places, because again, we like our quiet time. But again,
Hmm.
the things that is, we've been, fortunate to bring to the town are exactly what we need. We've I think since 2016, we've opened over 30 businesses, small from barbershop all the way up to you got Burger King, Dollar Tree, and we have and see the restaurant. I don't think you've been to Mel's Market yet.
No, I have not.
Yeah, so again, another great sit-down restaurant that's right here on the corner of Far in Maine. We have a large beauty supply store now that we bring people around. I mean, they come in from all over for their beauty supplies. You name it. We have been very fortunate that the pandemic and this virus did not stop the growth of the town in that respect. And you'll start to see when you come back now, you'll start to see some of those old buildings we had on Main Street are now disappearing. In fact, as we speak, there's a park being developed right now on Main Street at the main intersection. It's going to be a park here that's putting up the gazebo as we speak right now. And again, thanks to 3D Metals, which is Mr. Bobby Dale, and the Dale brothers. They're the muscle behind that, partnered with the town. So we're very grateful for our business owners that are contributing now. You'll see some of the other stores now coming to life. There's a 5-star convenience store. We have a place now we call the party shop that is open up into the wee hours. You can go there and get anything of your convenience. So it's a list. It's a laundry list of things right now. We're very proud, and for our business owners who've stuck here through the tough times.
That's right. You have folks like Miss Peggy Cumby, that
That's
whole
right.
Cumby family. They're just really investors in the community, building businesses. The entertainment center. She does
Entertainment.
wonderful events and parties and stuff. And really, just like you said, they've stuck with it. And
Yes.
that is so key. So we want to celebrate them also, that you can see the community really investing in their community. And that's, before you know it, Mayor, you guys are going to be a set for the Hallmark movies. I know you don't watch Hallmark movies, but
I
I'm
will.
telling you, I think it's going to be the gazebo.
I'm telling you, bring it on. We're ready for
I
it.
think Hallmark going to say they got that gazebo. We ready now.
Right there on Main Street. I mean, and I'll
But
tell
I
you,
want to know, wait, because you laugh and smile.
uh-huh.
Go ahead and confess, because you knew what I was talking about. You watch Hallmark movies?
Sometimes.
All right, man.
Sometimes.
Wait, that's for economic development research purposes.
Yes. Okay.
All right, very good. All right, whatever works.
Yes, I will watch it.
Very
awesome.
good, very good. So, Mayor, tell us some more about the economic development. As a matter of fact, let me stick this up here, because if y'all want to know more about Andrews, they actually have Facebook page, and it's the Andrews EOC. What's EOC stand for?
It's the Emergency Operations Center. It's Facebook page, which was started back in 2015 before I became the mayor, as a management tool for during the flood. And so we kept that in operation. We've also now started another Facebook page with the Andrews, which has all of our business, all of our meetings, and those things are on that site. So when you go into the Facebook page, both of them will pop up, but you'll find all of our business information on that page, and then so we try to use both of them to reach out, and then preferably we will have our website up here very soon. Again, to then bring all of that information to one source. And then there's an Andrews in Action page, which is, I think, operated by Church of God. Also provide a tremendous amount of information about the town.
Okay, so that's run by the church?
Yes, Andrews Church of God. Uh-huh.
Okay,
And it's
very
called
good, very good.
Andrews in Action, I believe is what it is.
All right, so everybody, you got some places to check out there to learn more about Andrews, but we have the mayor with us right now. I'm going to take a quick station break and just remind everyone that you're watching A Gathering Place, and today's special guest is Mayor Frank McClary of Andrews, South Carolina. He's with us today to kick off our African American mayors in the Gullah Geechee corridor series. So thank you. We're happy to have him here. There are great things going on in Andrews, and he's here just to share that with us. So we'll keep the Andrews, South Carolina Facebook page at the bottom, folks. So after this show, just Google it. Well, not Google it. Search on Facebook, and it'll come up, and you can learn more even after today. We're just playing a part in helping promote the city and what's going on in Andrews. So, Mayor, let's learn a little bit more about you.
Oh.
You spent quite a while away from home. You have already said you grew up in Andrews. You left home and you've come back. So first of all, why'd you leave home? Tell us a little bit about that. And then what brought you back home?
Okay. Actually left home in 1982 after graduating from high school to attend college, Benedict College, and where I thought I was going to go play football. I thought I was that good, but that was only in my mind. But when I got there, baseball was the thing I actually played on scholarship there. But the thing the love of my life that it kind of captured me was the military. So I got into the ROTC program and was then 4 years later commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army in the infantry. And that's where I spent after college. I spent 29 years and 8 months serving in the United States Army. Great career, great opportunities. Met a lot of folks, here, abroad. Korea. Got an opportunity to do 2 tours in the Pentagon, and just love serving in the military. And so I did that in about 2015 when it was very clear that I was going to retire. In my mind, I thought I was going someplace to make a whole bunch of money. That was in my mind. But what I call it, it was a divine intervention that God said, no, you're going back to Andrews and you're going to work. You're going to become the mayor. And so I didn't think that was really possible based on the timeline of retiring, and the election was, this divine intervention was in February of 15. And so then the election was November of the same year. And so it's not a whole lot of time, to leave Kuwait, because that's where I was, my last assignment in the Middle East, come here and do these things. But again, I never thought twice about it. I believe and still believe today that that's what God had set out. So I came back and did what was necessary to get through and retired August the 1st of 2015. August, 3 days later, entered into the race and got elected in November of the same year.
I learned something new. I did not know. I thought you had been home at least a year. You just came home and ran for mayor.
In fact, yes. That's what happened. In fact, we were talking about the Heritage Festival. I came back and assist them with the initial Heritage Festival, which was chaired by Ms. Sudha Patel, who was a councilwoman at the time. And I came back, and that's how I kind of got familiar with the town and realized, and again, I never separated myself from the town. I always, because my father, sister, and all of them still live here. So every opportunity I got, I came back home, and I saw how the decline. I saw where the thing was going, and I think that's what really kind of sparked in and said, need to come back home and see where I can help to change the scope of things, and so that's what it is. So serving and taking care of people, that's been my I accept that as my calling. And so here I am. It's a little tougher than the military. You don't have the same level of control of things, but
Yeah, but I have to say, and judging by some of these comments that I'm sharing that people are putting out on Facebook, that you have played a vital part in helping Andrews turn itself around. And it's not just one person, but you're playing a part in being the spark in working with the town members in turning Andrews around and moving it forward in a good place, I think. That's what I'm hearing and seeing. So kudos to you.
yeah.
You mentioned earlier, we had to talk about how we met. Um, I came to your office. I know I came to your office.
But let me say this. I don't
Did
want
I
to
call
interrupt you.
first?
Yeah, but let me say this in terms
Okay,
of
go ahead. Go ahead.
what's happening here. It's not one person, not just me.
Mhm.
It is a team effort. It is the community has to be a part of it. And I think one of the charts I sent you, and you talk about, my whole uh, saying was, we're in this thing together, and that's really what it takes. It's a community effort to bring this thing together, and it's not as easy as it may sound, because again, you have to have trust in the government, you have to have trust in the citizen, and all these things have to work together to come in. So we're moving. We're not where we need to be yet in terms of just that community, the unity in the community, but it's happening. People are coming out. They see what's going on, and so I'm grateful for that. But I don't want folks to think it's just me, because a lot of folks love this town. We have a small staff, but they work really hard to make things happen, and so it's truly a team effort. And that's what it takes, regardless of where you are.
Very
I
good.
just happen to be here, sitting and talking, and either, I always tell people, you're responsible for everything that happens or fail to happen when you're sitting at the top of the seat. So it's a team
That's
effort.
true. That's true. And I'm glad that you said that. So thank you very much. It is a team effort and everything. So I'm going to get, because we have a PowerPoint that we're going to work through.
Okay.
But before we do, I was teasing the mayor, I guess teasing earlier, saying that I was creeping on him when I first met him, because I think I called you and set up a meeting
Yes, ma'am.
to introduce the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce. So he probably thought I was like, who is this crazy woman? But I think we had a connection because I think we both have forward thinking minds, innovative minds. So and we've just been brainstorming and I think supporting each other ever since. So I want to thank you for coming on the show again because of that. But I just want to express my appreciation that you're still the leader, you're the mayor, but it is a team effort. And I can remember the days where it was just beginning. The effort was just beginning. So very good. And the exciting thing about it is the opportunity that's still in front of you.
Right.
That should get people excited. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this series for the mayors, because there's a lot going on, especially in our small towns, in rural areas, that people don't realize is going on, because people come back home, or you do have leadership in these rural areas, small towns, that they're doing the work and maybe just need a little bit more access to resources to make things happen. And I think Andrews is a prime example of that situation. So kudos to you and the town. You ready for me to pull up this PowerPoint?
Yeah, because
We can chat about that.
Yeah, because we'll get into we should, because everything is not a bed of roses. So we have our challenges, and we'll talk about storm drain challenges. We'll talk about some of the other things.
All right.
But yeah, because sometimes you'll have the tendency to focus just on the positive.
Good stuff.
Yeah, but you got to know that there's still challenges out there.
All right. So here we are with this is the annual budget summary.
Yeah, this chart here I used, I think it was a couple of years ago, and it was a part of a town hall conversation we had with the folks, because it's really important that, we talk about we're in this together, but if we can't be in it together, we all understand the challenges that we'll face and how a town operates and how it survives. And so when you talk about small towns, and this state, which is 46 counties, 271 municipalities, and they range from 100 people up to the big cities in Greenville and Columbia. But so then it's really the businesses and those kind of things that kind of generate the revenue. Now, in Andrew's case, again, we weren't in the best financial situation, a few years ago, and so it really taxes the people. We are owners of our water and sewer system, so that and again, we talked about it, the town, established in 1909. It seems like some of those pipes that we have under the ground is just as old. So we have some challenges, and so I think the thing that's important why we use this slide here is to help our citizens see where the money comes from. That's the famous phrase, where the money resides. This is it. As a town, a town that is chartered, you are responsible for your success or failure, really. And so your revenue, only a few small things that generate revenue for this town. And so it's your property taxes. You're talking about your water and sewer, some fines and things like that. So, which fines are really small. You can't run a town off those things, and you just can't do that. But so then your revenue that comes in is really small. Now your expenditures are very large. And then when you talk about a town that was under 2 consent orders with DHEC, with your water and sewer, and you had old dilapidated pipes. And so a lot was happening. So as I talk about some of the negative things or the challenges, this is a part of it. And so then as you look at this chart, it certainly lists those things where where the expenditures are, and it kind of captures right on that red line. So if we were in to be in good shape, we would probably need to be generating about 5 or 6 million a year. But when you look to the right of that, we average our budget. Once we do a lot of cutting, slashing, it's really down to $3.5 million. And you see there in that green bubble what generates that revenue. And so now you can imagine that if your bills really are 5 million and you're only making 3.5, you're going to have to be smart about how you use this money, and you have to be very particular about how and you have to take care of your bills. Again, we were under that consent order, and fortunately now we've satisfied the requirements for the water. We're no longer under the water consent order. Now we're just working on some of the sewer challenges we have. But it is a lot. And you see there in red where you see the wastewater management. We mentioned early on that Oneida Knitting Mill was the largest employer of the town. And so a lot of people worked there. And so when those guys up and left in 1998 or 2000, in that time frame, they left. So that's about $1 million of revenue was coming in. And it also left us about $1 million bill because some of the chemicals from that plant really affected our water treatment, our sewer treatment. And we had to close that down and then enter into an agreement with the Georgetown County Water and Sewer District and with the city of Georgetown to transport and treat our sewer. So you can imagine that's about $1 million a year. So if we were getting, if we had that here, that would make a world of a difference if we can invest that back in the town. But because of those failures back in the early 2000s, that's where we are. So now, so we have to be smarter about how we use this money. So as I was talking to a council member the other day, looking back in 2017, we were down to about in November 2013, we were down to about $13,000 in the bank for a town. That is unbelievable. That was one of my worst days when I saw that. And our monthly bills range somewhere between $100,000 and $130,000 a month. So we had to tap into the reserve to get ourselves back up. But then we got smarter about, fixing things, getting rid of some of that maintenance that really challenges your budget. And now today, we probably can say that our fund balance is resting somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.7 million. So that's huge. And again, that's a lot of work, a lot of micromanaging of things, not wasting funds here and there. And just kind of staying on top of it, because if you don't, you can slip off back into the dark stages real quickly. We're very fortunate that our audits have all been good. We just completed the 2020 audit, so we're still in good standards. And so what little funds come from the state, when you're in good standing, that all adds to it. And so it's really important. So now one thing I'll point out, you see there where it says $423,000 in unpaid water bill.
Yes.
So for a very long time, we weren't forcing people to pay the water bill, basically. And so we were losing money. That's the amount of money that we did not have to go towards this $3.5 million and some of these other expenses. And so that we had to, again, all of us, we're in this thing together. So we all have a responsibility to pay our bills and those kind of things, because that literally funds come in, they pay the bills, keeps the light on in the streets, pay the salaries and all those things, fix the, equipment, replacing these pipes, all that's where that money goes. This is not this is one of a nonprofit. It's not a revenue generating or a for-profit, if you will, a for-profit organization. All this money comes in from property tax and those things and goes straight to the bill. It's a revolving cycle. And so it was an education. It was a tough period because, again, they were allowed, not everybody, but certainly a lot of folks were allowed, to not even pay or to let it roll over 2 and 3 months. And, the policy, which was established back in 2003, we're not like the big Duke Energy and other places that have these, multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar company. When it comes in small cities, when the funds come in, or you have to pay your bill, and there is no rollover, there is no next month, and that's how we kind of stay up with this thing. And so this chart is really, talk to that point of really how we are involved as a community. First, financial, we have to pay these bills, and so that's where we are.
So, one, I'm glad you brought this chart, because this really shows how government runs. So anybody who's interested in running, this is serious business. You got to stay on top, as you say, the revenue and expenses and some unexpected things like unpaid water bills.
Yeah.
That you got to stay on top of. And I would imagine, being in a small town, that not paying the bills, that's huge. I mean, that's a huge dent on your budget, and it prevents you from doing things that you may want to do to help the town, but you got unpaid bills. So is this 423,000? Is that still unpaid, or has it been paid down? What's going on with it?
It has been paid down. This number came from my initial assessment when I came in the office. Now it's not all been. Some of it is lost because people have passed. In fact, Oneida was one of the ones that left a very huge water bill. They're no longer in existence, but it's so we have been able to collect, because all along we had a policy in place where if you don't pay, we can do the debt set off collection, and we hate doing that. But again, we cannot allow, we just can't afford, we can't afford to not have folks pay the bill. So through the debt set off collection program, we were able to recoup some of that money, but not nearly as much as what you see up here. And so when I update this chart, that will be a lot less. And believe it or not, we're still dealing, because we know that we're in a low to moderate income area, so people don't have a whole lot of money. And so then we have to correct this wrong very slowly again to make sure that the town can operate, and we don't completely disable our citizens. And so it's a very delicate balance.
Very good. I understood. So I'm looking at the revenue now, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 means of revenue. Under miscellaneous, or what other means of revenue do you have? Like if the town went and wrote a grant and received a grant, is that considered revenue, but it's directed specifically for what that grant states? You can't write a grant to say lower your debt.
No. You'd have to go out and get loans like everything else to pay those things off. So grants, no, that money that comes from the state, and that's a good point. That has been very helpful in us, for us to begin to upgrade, improve our infrastructure. And so through CDBG and the rural infrastructure funding, we were able to get things moving. So as we replace these lift stations, these old dilapidated lift stations that really cost us an arm and a leg to maintain, for example, I was, I'm always analyzing to see where, because as you see your fund balance grow, you need to know where this money coming from, so you continue to do those things that are working. So one of the things I discovered the other day in our electrical bill, when you replace these pumps, these lift stations, again, the lift stations are those things that move the sewer around and get it to where it needs to go. The new ones, our electrical bill is like $17 or $34. The old ones, $800, $700, $500. And so we still have some work. So through the grants, we are able to either upgrade those things or eliminate them based on the needs of the town. So grants are really important. In fact, we're right now in the process of right where we just submitted one through our staff work here and with the help of the COG, going after grants now to upgrade our lift stations. So that's the thing, but it's not a part of your revenue. That's separate, obviously, from your general fund and all that business. So we can't count that. In fact, we have to set aside funds from the general funds for matching when you start talking about CDBG grants. So that's where our revenue kind of come in play with respect to grants and those kind of things.
But it pays off in the long run because it's an investment in your infrastructure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
which is lowering your expenses. So
yes.
I know we're drilling down, folks, in the weeds of this, and I don't know what the next slide is. I'm going to move to the next slide.
Okay.
And but one of the reasons I do want to focus on this, this is how government works. Really on the local level with towns, cities, and counties, this is really where you get into where you can see where government works. Yes. And why it's so important that you become an engaged citizen, because going to your town meetings and during public comments, just bringing up your concerns, they can be addressed right then. You can talk to your mayor, your town council members, and understand what is really going on in the government and how it impacts you and why you should be involved. So this is actually just a good example of, if you've ever thought about running for office, these are the things you need to think about. These are the things you need to and to consider. So I'm glad we're kind of getting in the weeds a little bit. Yeah. So right here we have columns, and you showed me this when we first met, but explain this right here.
Yeah, so this kind of takes us back to our early conversation, but this was developed before I came into office. Again, as when you analyze anything you do, you need to step back, take a look at it, what needs to be fixed, what's important for that entity. In this case, this was my view of the town of Andrews from the outside looking in. Now, the story is always different once you put the shoe on and sit in the seat. Mm-hmm. And so, but I will say this kind of held true in terms of where we needed to be. So it kind of shows the things I thought, those pillars of things I thought are important in the town that we have to address. But you look at this baseline, you first have to have proven leadership and ethical governance in terms of transparency. You're going to have to, again, a lot of times small towns get in trouble with this, mismanagement of the funds, misusing government property and that kind of things, So we had to do better in that respect, and we talk about developing those core values and common goals, and again the diversity that should be on your council. I think we are achieving that. We're doing pretty good with that because we have a very diverse community. So we want to show that represents our community. And again, talk about unity, everybody coming together doing their thing. And once you get that, I think you can then develop a clear vision of where you want to go. And again, we were coming from such a place that we had to really get, reestablish ourselves on, come above ground, if you will. And so we still don't have a laid out, a well-defined strategy, in 3 to 5 years, which again, that pains me because that's what I did in the military. So I know having a strategy and a plan helps guide you. And so, but we were in such a place where we had to manage on day to day. And so as you look at these columns, we talked about, again, the comment, a committed, proven leadership, group of leaders that are leading this town, comprehensive plan, those things focus on kids, education, and force development, and the infrastructure. And I believe back then and still today, if you can do those things well, you're gonna be well on your way to prosperity for the town. And then this chart, with the first chart you put up there, talks about the gateway. That's why I believe now that the success we've had and identifying the challenges kind of puts us in a place where we're established now. We are a place that people can come, live, grow, work, and have a pretty common life, pretty decent life. This chart is a huge part of that. So in all small towns, again, businesses, go away. You have old dilapidated buildings on your main street. So now we're starting to move. One of our focus for this term is revitalizing Main Street. Talks a little bit about the park that's coming up, the business. We don't have as many empty buildings on because businesses are coming in right now.
Mm-hmm.
This actually is one of the property I bought before I came into town, and it just kind of shown that you got to lead by example. Obviously, you're not going to get it all right, but you got to take a stab at it. So I had to clean this up. Hopefully, then encouraging others, do your part, because these a lot of folks think that these buildings belong to the town. They don't. These are privately owned buildings, and so we need to encourage those business owners, those buildings owners, to do something to change the face. Fix the roof, do those things so people can come in and establish a business. And that is something, right. And then make it affordable. Okay. Yep. And so when you do that, and I think this chart here, when you start doing those things, it gives business owners confidence that, you are moving in the right direction. So as a result of, I think, of all the hard work, you see this is just a few of the ones I mentioned earlier that is established himself here in Andrews here over the last 6 years. And as I just said, we have somewhere in the neighborhood of about 30 businesses, from barber shops, beauty shops to, some of the, franchise places business that you see here. And we're very proud of it. Now, one thing we don't touch on now, all this stuff coming in jobs, we still have a challenge with our workforce. So,
okay.
It doesn't make sense for a business to come in and still, a couple months later, still have, hiring, for hire. So we're still working on that and encouraging folks that, if you got to start off at Burger King, that's fine. Do something, get out and work and be a contributor to your community. And so that I know we still have room to improve in that area. This slide here, yes, go ahead.
So what's the challenge with the workforce? Is it lack of education, lack of experience, or the brain drain when people leave and you're having to recover from that?
It's a combination of all those things. Obviously, a lot of your talent, and I don't care where you are, a lot of your talent when folks go off to school, they get the nice degrees, they generally stay where they go to school.
Mm-hmm.
And so the small communities like Andrews, suffered to a degree. And so a lot of the heavy lifting, and I say heavy lifting, I mean in terms of keeping the community running, is left on our seniors who have worked and try to keep the town up. But when we got a lot of talent go away, and for example, on one of our committees or commissions, 4 of them are 80-year-olds, and they're still doing a great job. So we're trying to encourage our young folks to get involved. We need you out here, get involved and take the lead, so our seniors can, sit back and relax and enjoy themselves. And so through Helping Hands, which is another important part of our town, they've been here for several years, and it's really boomed in terms of covering some of the financial gaps for some of our folks. Again, we have a very senior town, and people are not making a whole lot of money. So they cover utilities. They have a food bank there, clothing, and they also do workforce development. So in 4 days, you can have someone trained on how to do a resume interview. And then on that 5th day, they're actually interviewing for a job from some of our local places like IP and others that are employers sitting right there. That's disappointing when you have more employers than you have people seeking jobs. And so we still have work to do there, and so we're still continuing to lean on our on our other, community leaders to encourage those folks to, get involved. And again, that's more revenue generated, and you have a job, and you are officially a contributor to the community. And when you don't, then everybody else is kind of carrying the weight for you, and that's not fair.
I got you. But I'm glad we did a deep dive with this, and you have your PowerPoint presentation, because we need younger people to get involved. But you have to understand what that means, and really understand how government works and the impact of, you could be on town council and make real impact. You can be on a town commission, a committee, and make real impact in the lives of our senior citizens, and of our youth. And you want to create an atmosphere, a somewhat balanced environment where people will go get their education and come back home.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm glad that we spent some time in that, showing folks that if y'all have any questions, please drop them in the comments. Our time is actually running out. I found it fascinating. I don't know if other people found it fascinating. but we're strange like that. But hey, y'all, come on, be strange with us. But one thing I did want to bring up is the Cypress Preserve.
Yes.
That's kind of a new thing, I believe, with the city, and I think I got their website, so I'm going to try to get that and bring it up. But there's the Black River Cypress Preserve right outside of the town of Andrews, and it is a beautiful area. It's just gorgeous, and I think I have it right here. We can show. There's some good pictures right there. So this is about 3 miles outside of town.
Just under 3 miles.
Yeah, and if you want to spend some time really just kayaking, spending time, wildlife, it's the Black River, and that's the main river near Andrews. That's the Black River Cypress Preserve there. You can, and down at the bottom, I'm trying to get it where everybody can see it. There you go. Just the wildlife that's out there. They have walking paths, so you can go out there. Look at the kids. The kids are out there learning more about nature and the outdoors. But I think this is a treasure.
Oh, it is, and it's again, I mentioned it earlier, and real quick, because a couple of things I want to touch on. Again, some of the challenges we have, but for this piece,
okay,
working the town, we're working closely with Ms. Erin Pate and the staff out there, Ms. Mariah Whitehead, and there's a big effort going on right now. So Mr. Butler, I think, and Mr. Gil Butler, who purchased that area, and again, to preserve this beautiful, river. And now it's starting to develop. This is going to become, if things work out, a state park. So 70 miles of river access will be developed. Again, that's the intent, is to be developed now into a park. So you can all the way up to King Street. I think there was an article in the King Street paper last week that talks a little bit about it. So there's about $27 million out there that I think is going to be dedicated to 13 different projects. And this preserve is potentially one of the recipients of some of those funds, coupled again with Mr. Butler's investment. But this is what you see. It's beautiful. It's as Marilyn stated, walking area. It's a 2 mile out and back. They have picnic areas. Just beautiful, beautiful land. You'll see a promo coming out from that. So we are a part of the steering committee to help shape this thing. So we're very involved. We just met with them earlier this week. They did some videos, some of the promotional things, and so it's open. So you go out there, check the website, as Marilyn just put up there. There are times when it's just come out, but it's not completely open to the public. So you have to, call them. And we're very fortunate. One of our own, Mr. John from I think it's the First PH Church, is a guy who kind of mans the gate and for access in and out of there on Saturdays and Sundays, I believe it is. So it's going to be a great thing for the town. It's going to bring a lot of tourists here. It's going to generate, I think, some economic growth in the town. And so we are excited about this. We're working close, and the intent, again, is to make sure that Andrew's involved and we're part of it. Preferably, we'll have a path from Andrews along 41 that leads to the thing. I'm envisioning almost like
a greenway.
Yes, and I'm envisioning this thing like the Ravenel Bridge, where you have that fenced off paved area where you can walk and not, come in contact with the traffic to get there, or ride bike, and make that connection with the town. And I think they're open to all of those great ideas. We would love to hear from our citizens in terms of what what they see or what they think this thing can be, because it's major and it's coming and it's here.
Yeah,
So
that's
we're
that's
excited.
a wonderful idea. That greenway, that walkway concept, to connect it, and that's just a wonderful idea. So very impressive. So, couple more challenges you want to mention. We
Yeah.
have you here, and we want to keep it real.
Yes,
So,
absolutely, absolutely. So again, all this
what are the challenges we want to mention?
Yeah, because I don't want anybody to roll up and say, "Wait a minute, they didn't talk about this." It's so yeah. So we definitely want to talk. So again, flooding, just like most of the state, and certainly on this side in the Low Country, we were hit back in 2015 with the flooding, and unfortunately, it seems like every major rain now, we have homes and businesses flooding out. So there's a major problem with the drain system. And so through then the efforts of the town and Georgetown County, we now have a grant, and again, it's in place. We did almost an 8-month study on the entire drain system in Andrews and found a lot of interesting things. We have a problem. Because again, when this town was formed back in 1909, it was only supposed to be like 4 blocks. And so as it expands to what it is, 3,000 people, we service 11,000 people on the 29510. The system is all clogged up and it wasn't maintained. Now we all know that the drain system belongs to the state, but obviously they're challenged for the entire state. So we were fortunate to get this grant in here now, and through that study, there were 4 phases that needed to happen, to completely revive or restore the storm drain. And so right now, and again, all that money is not available, but so what we came up with the best course of action for now with phase 1 is developing a new outfall. So all of that water that's going to be in the center of the town, and it will pull about 90% of the water that sits in people's yard and move it out to Johnson's from south of the town. And so that work is ongoing right now. We're going through the whole process of getting permission from homeowners we can put this path through there. And so that's happening. And then the next phase will be on the east side of town, which will capture the rest of them that flood. But that is one that is always a problem for the town and for the citizens that really are affected by it. We're also challenged, again, sitting here across 2 counties where we have our share of there you go. I think that's actually one of the homes, I believe it is. And that's
I pulled this from 2015. So it's been bad in Andrews, and it's been worse than that. Just wanted to throw that up there.
That's not the worst of them. It gets up to about 2 feet in the people's house. And I saw one house that was completely covered up near the Black River area. And so so that is always a challenge. And so what we encourage people to do is keep the ditches that we have clean, the ones in front of your house, keep the debris out of it, because like this morning I saw 2 tires in a ditch. So we're going to have to do some personal maintenance in the areas in front of our house. We get DOT to do their part. County owns a little bit of it, and then we all collectively come together. We'll survive this thing until we get this new outfall in. But it's a challenge ahead.
So I know you have one more point you want to make, but a quick question.
Yes.
So we could do something as simple as keeping the ditches in our neighborhoods clean will help the flooding situation. It's not going to solve it, but it's going to help lower the risk and mitigate.
It's huge, because I don't think we understand. It's almost like the sewer. You put grease down your drainage pipe, you're going to clog your sewer up. Mm-hmm. You put things that are not dissolvable down there. So the same thing with the ditches. The ditches are a key part to the storm drain system. I don't think we understand that. When I was coming up along, back in the day, we used to have huge canals. Well, when your parents say don't go there, we didn't go there. And I think as generations come along, kids take chances. And I think that fear forced some of them to close these ditches without properly putting pipes in there to move this water around.
Okay.
That's a large part of it. I mean, because one of our developments sit right on the top of a canal that we used to walk by as kids every day. And I know it's not properly piped.
Drained.
Drained to move it around. So
and water has to go someplace. Even when we have good drainage and sewer, you're really just moving water. You're not eliminating water. It's going to
Yes,
go someplace. So,
go
yeah,
somewhere.
that's just, a good point to make. And I see I'm learning even today, you
Hey,
know,
good,
a
good.
little bit more. Very good. So what's your second point you
And the
want to
other
make? I
thing
want you to
again,
make sure you get these challenges in.
yeah, and again, we're all challenged by, drugs and, some crime and that kind of thing. And it's a real challenge for us because we, again, sitting on the county line, you have some places where it's outside of our jurisdiction. And those who want to, do bad things will find their path of least resistance and go there and do that. And that kind of bleeds back into the city and causes some, challenges. And that puts a big strain on a small police department. But gratefully, we're developing and we have a good relationship with the county sheriff department with Sheriff Weaver. Great interaction and support because and now we're working that same thing. We're going to have to put that same effort in with Williamsburg County because we have a large community that we service over there with our water and sewer system that is not necessarily policed. And so we've had some serious issues in that area. And so when we get these, the law enforcement, because there shouldn't be any boundaries when they talk about, when it comes down to people's safety and providing protection. But I understand, that there are jurisdictions, but again, it's the relationships that the law enforcement community have that's going to make a difference. And Sheriff Weaver has been very, very helpful in that respect. And so other agencies that we bring in. And so it's a huge problem. So drugs is everywhere. We have our challenges here too. So we're working through those things. And I want folks to know I don't talk about things of that, in the open forum but I would need them to know that there's covert operations ongoing to eliminate some of that stuff. Because our kids, again, we have 4 schools here, and our kids need to have an opportunity to grow up and be as successful as they can. And then our older folks need to relax. And this activity disrupts that.
Mm-hmm,
And so
mm-hmm.
we have to be mindful of that. And I'll say to the folks out there, we have to know that this is hurting our community and we have to do better. It's a better way to live. And so we encourage folks to change your ways. Everybody be vigilant. Because the cops can't be everywhere. So, security, home security is a big deal. So we're going to have to do that. I have some home security around mine. And so we encourage that. And I think all together we'll be able to cut down on some of the personal challenges that are people affected by these type of activities.
So let me ask you this question. Are there any programs in Andrews to help folks if they want to get off drugs and their drug use? Are there any types of programs to help folks?
We don't have any. I think there are some in the county, but and I say I think I don't know, and that is part of the issues because a lot, this it's a big drug issue all around, and I don't think there's any place that now has enough resources to address these needs, and we lose a lot of our citizens to the drugs.
That's certainly tragic and unfortunate. Which actually segues to me. I hope folks listen and take what you say into consideration because we need to get healthy as individuals so we can create healthy communities. And in a small town, it's actually easy to get involved and be part of the solution. And part of that solution is to become healthy.
Yes.
Mentally, emotionally, physically, which means we have to deal with the drug issue. So thank you for bringing that up. COVID. How has COVID, we kind of talked about it throughout the entire show, but I kind of want to end with that because there are 2 things. How has COVID impacted the town? How are people dealing with it? And I know St. James Health and Wellness has a big presence in Andrews, 2 locations, and they're doing vaccinations and everything. So we'll wrap up with that. But tell us, how has COVID impacted the town, and you're encouraging folks to get the vaccinations?
Yes, it is. As everyone else in the world, obviously, has been affected by it. It has changed, especially socially, just mentally. I think the kids, everybody's kind of cooped in there, so it's had a tremendous impact. but I will tell you from a year later, um, it seems like we have adjusted. Um, we still have to. I encourage people. You still have to follow the medical community's advice, CDC, and all others that talked about the social distancing and still wear your mask because we're not out of the water. You mentioned St. James Santee, and you're right. They're doing a wonderful job here in town. They have 2 locations, and I think they're on Saturdays. It could be Wednesday and Saturday. I have to check the date, and we'll post it on the site. It's open to the public to go in and get your vaccination. And so we're happy about that. I've gone in and got shot one, because we were, a lot of folks are still hesitant.
Well, mine's tomorrow.
Good,
I'm going
good.
tomorrow. I think you took pictures. Did I see pictures on Facebook?
I haven't posted them yet.
Oh, okay.
But,
All right.
but I want to encourage people to go. And I think now they're starting to broaden the criteria for people to go in.
Mhm.
And I'm learning now that they're even the young kids are starting to get in, bring them in terms of getting them vaccinated. But it's out there, and if they don't use it, that stuff goes to the waste. So we'll keep it posted on our site. I know county and the city is posting those things. I have a list of them that we'll get up on the website. But you got to go and get it done. And it's just going to protect us. It's not 100%. Obviously, nothing is 100%, but it gives you the best chance of not, becoming seriously
Getting really,
ill.
really sick with it and dying and making other people sick also.
Right. So I see people are getting out. Again, you'll see more activities and people now, I think they understand. I think we've lost enough of enough loved ones and friends to know that this is serious. This is not a hoax. It's serious, and along with everything else that is taking lives, this thing here is just as deadly or worse. So I'm proud of the citizens here. In the most part, you'll probably see 1 or 2 people walking around in the store without a mask, and so we pray for them. We pray for all of us, but protect yourself and protect your family.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. It's a meme I picked up on Facebook 6 months or so ago that said, wear your mask because when we all get together again, we want to make sure that no one is missing.
Yes.
And I think that's so important that we take that into consideration. We all want to be here, and we've lost too many, over 500,000 now, getting very close to 550,000. And many of those could have been prevented, especially, and this is a question I meant to ask you at the beginning, we talked about in small towns such as Andrews, because how many residents do you have?
3,000 in the voting population. So it's the voting population is about 2.2 square miles of the town. But again, the 29510 expands almost 15 to 17 miles out. So all of those people really come here to the municipality to shop, go to school, and those things. So you got the Big Dam, Old Cedar, kids from Sampit, and so we have Andrews Elementary.
Potato Bed Ferry.
Yeah, which is out in Big Dam. That's where my father and my sister lives out there. So that's a nice community out there. I didn't know until the flood that we have about 1,500 citizens out there. And again, they're not in the voting community, but they're part of our community.
So you have the core of Andrews, then you have the metropolitan area of Andrews.
That's right. That's right.
And y'all take care of all of them, even if they're not in the voting population. You have to take care of all those folks.
Yeah, because anything that goes, if there's something bad that happens, it's always like, well, in Andrews, but I'm like, no, that's 15 miles out. We don't have any impact on it. But again, it falls under that the area code and or zip code, and here we are.
And I do encourage folks to visit Andrews because that's the one part of Georgetown County that has the most interesting place names in the area. I don't know if you picked up on that, but I did. I think Potato Bed Ferry, with Big Dam Swamp, Little Italy. It's like you go to Andrews and all of a sudden these place names just become much more imaginative and descriptive. And, I live here in Maryville.
Well, come on down.
I love Maryville, which is a part of the city of Georgetown. But I want to live and visit Potato Bed Ferry. What can you say? That's wonderful. Y'all need to spend some time in Andrews. Mayor McClary, thank you for visiting with us today. Very interesting conversation. A great way to kick off my African American Mayor series. And if y'all really want to know how these towns are operating, these cities are operating, and we take them for granted. We either think we just drive through, drive past, or if we do spend time in them, we don't think about how government really operates. But when you are in these small towns, you really could be standing next to the mayor or city council member or town council member who makes real decisions and impact on these daily lives. So it's good to have you here. Thank you for coming.
No, it's been a pleasure. And thanks for this opportunity.
Always, you educated me today, and I hope he educated everyone else too.
It's a business. You got to run it as such.
Isn't that the truth? Hey, I'm learning. I'm learning. So thank you, Mayor, for visiting us today. Enjoyed your company. We're going to wrap it up here, Mayor, and just say good night and continue the good work and continue facing those challenges, which I'm happy that you did talk about. It is not always roses, but you know, we got the sunny days and the dark days too, but we're going to keep on moving and keep making it happen. Mayor McClary, thank you very much for joining me today on A Gathering Place, and we're gonna bring you back in a year.
I'll be here. I just want to say that we ask for your prayers here in town for the families, obviously, that's affected by this mass shooting in Atlanta,
Yes.
and all that affected by this pandemic, and especially our troops that are out there still serving. So let's just continue to pray for each other, work hard, and I think we'll be okay. We'll make it through this pandemic.
That's a great way to end the show, Mayor McClary. Thank you very much for joining us. And everyone, we are here on The Gathering Place every Wednesday and Sunday at 4 o'clock. So come on back this Sunday, which we do have a guest, and I can't remember who off the top of my head, but I'm so into what the mayor's talking about, totally forgot who the guest is. But we do have guests. It'll be a live show this Sunday at 4 o'clock. So come on back and join us. Mayor, have a good day, and we'll be seeing you later.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Good night.
Good night.